Okay, hello everybody. My name is Harlequin Murray, and for those of you who have not been on one of our Zooms, I am your co-host for this evening. And I have the distinct honor and privilege to introduce our team leader and the host of this evening, Miss Ellen Winn. And I know that we have a bunch of new people that are attending for the first time tonight. So just to kind of give you a feel for where Ellen is coming from, I'm going to give you a little bit of her background. I actually met Ellen, gosh, it's been almost 20 years ago now. And I've been friends with her ever since. But she actually grew up in the Atlanta area, just outside of Atlanta in Dallas, Georgia, on a farm. And once she grew up and started in the work world, she spent about 25 years in the restaurant industry. And her last 8.5 years, she was in the corporate arena working with Domino's Pizza as a training director and a senior operations director for the state of Georgia. She left Domino's back in the late 90s and started her own restaurant chain. And she's actually been a business owner ever since then. But she was introduced in network marketing about 20 years ago. And over the years, she's built massive teams and helped tens of thousands of people along the way. And back when I met her, she was originally my upline in another company, and she was the national training director for that network marketing company. And she was also a partner in a huge training center here in Atlanta. But Ellen absolutely loves training and helping people. And within DAC, she is an area director, and she's the highest ranking agent out in the field. But she's also a one-star executive in our residual pay plan with longevity. And she's helped our team to become one of the fastest growing and largest producing teams in the company. So without further ado, Miss Ellen Winn, you can take it away.
All right. All right. Thank you, Harlequin. I appreciate that. And I always love listening to you because it takes me down that walk of memory lane of us meeting and past experience working together. And again, always glad that I had an opportunity to introduce you to DAC. And you finally said yes when the time was right to get started with us. Couldn't do these calls without you every week. A lot of people on this call maybe in Harlequin's organization. So, excuse me, I get this question, I'll send out the welcome email and the text message to everybody that joins my team, and new people are coming in and they're going, well, I signed up through so-and-so. Am I on your team too? So the way that works is I'm the overall team leader, the most between me and the company. I don't believe there's another active DAC agent, right? So I'm your senior team leader, and I personally enrolled Harlequin. So she is one leg of my business. So any of you that are in Harlequin's leg, I see Eugene on here. You guys are all one leg of my business. And then anybody else that I've personally sponsored direct, that would be additional legs of my business. So everybody on here tonight, other than a handful of folks that have been invited just because they asked if they could participate in our Zooms, everybody else here is a part of my organization. Now we have a lot of people that show up live, and we have a lot of people that watch this on the replay. Those that are participating are usually the ones that are plugged in and trying to grow their business. So I appreciate you taking time out of your Monday evening to be here with us. We do this call every Monday as a means of communicating the most recent updates to you, making sure that you've got the latest, greatest training tools and the knowledge that you need to be moving forward with the right information. And then we'll do Q&A at the end. But I've got some slides pulled ready to go here. I'm going to put us into screen share mode and get those started so that we can get kicked off like I always do with our team recognition. Harlequin, are you seeing the recognition slides? Looks good. Okay, awesome. Thank you. All right, so we do this. This got started by corporate well over a year ago, where the the corporate team was recognizing the top recruiters across the company. And every week, my team was like always someone in the top 5 or so. And, or, you know, I would take note and proudly would text David Rutz and say, hey, David, out of those top 10, 8 of those people were on my team. So I was tracking our team's success. And I thought, well, let me just add this to what we do each week. So I was adding what the corporate team was doing, and then I added our individual team. And I've continued doing that since corporate had quit doing the top recognition for recruiters. So I want to first start out with a correction. Last week when I did the Zoom and then I recorded it and sent the recording out to everybody, I have no idea how I did it, but for the week of 5/26 through 6/1, I had miscalculated some of the total. So this is the correction and who should have been recognized for the recruiting for that week. In first place, again, this is week of May 26th through 6/1, we had Raven Mark in first place with 19 recruits. In second place was me. I operate through my LLC, Prime Choice Partners, and I had 6 new recruits for that week. In third place, we had Tanisha Fears with 5 new recruits. In fourth place, we had Eric Johnson with 4 new recruits. In fifth place, we had a 2-way tie with Dewan Cosby and Michael Edmondson, each with 3 new agents for the week. And in sixth place, we had a 5-way tie, each with 2 new agents apiece, was Leon Bloxham, Terrence Gibson, Harlequin Murray, Truce Pierre, and Pam Warnock. And then each having 1 new agent recruit for that week, we had Almays Adair, Juan Aguilar, Jean-Claude Atusameso, Tamara Briscoe, Eric Brooks, David Bryant, Michael Carter Sr., Eugene Clapp, Orlando Darden Jr., Timothy Dunn, Anthony Hill, Adriana Jackson, Cindy Johnson, Daniel Kasango, Doc Lett, Ronnie Lucas, Ronnie McKellar, Kelvin Miles, Juan Ortega, Diana Paget, Stork Porter, Chris Bartalis, Aliqua Washington, and John Wiederholt, all with 1 new recruit for that week. So sorry about the mishaps there, either understating how many you had or leaving your name off of the leaderboard last week. Now, on to the most recent leaderboard for the week of 6/2 through 6/8. In first place, we have a new mover and shaker, and that's Dee Brown. Dee came in with 8 new recruits for the week. Congratulations, Dee. In second place, we had Raven Mark with 5 recruits for the week. Congratulations, Raven. Katina Willis came in third place with 4 new recruits for the week. In fourth place, we had a 3-way tie with Steve DeWitt, Eric Johnson, and myself. Each of us had 3 new agent recruits for the week. In fifth place, we had a 3, 6, 7, 8-way tie, each with 2 new agent recruits, was Joseph Byers, Eugene Clapp, Pam Warnock, Jorge Diaz Jr., Leash Green, Ashield Hodge, Nora Preston, and Tracy Wiggs. Congratulations to all you guys making it on the left side of the leaderboard. On the right side, where we each had 1 new agent recruit for the week, was Linda Artis, Eric Brooks, Latwan Brown, Katina Carney, Sandra Carpenter, Shannon Delaney, Julissa Garza, Darren Green, Mark Green Sr., Min Hoon, Earl Jones Jr., Eddie Kirk, Jamie Latinsky, Joseph Meredith, Harlequin Murray, Shane Rutledge, Samaj Financial Services, JC, Ulysses Tomlin Jr., Alicia Wall, Tyra Wingo, and Randy Witt. So congratulations to all of you for having at least 1 recruit during those 2-week timeframes. If your name's not on the leaderboard yet, but you're having conversations and inviting people to take a look at our opportunity, it's just a matter of time before your name will also be on the leaderboard. So let's get into some of the announcements. I want to make sure that you all know, as Harlequin reference, we've got a lot of new people coming onto the call, and new people need to make sure they're getting pointed to the right information, right? Well, we've got an auto engaged summer sizzle promotion going on, and this one is not really for new people. However, it could be for new people because when you're new, your first 60 days in the business, you are considered engaged. And I'll go in a little deeper on that, what engaged is, in a few minutes. But after your first 60 days, you fall out of engaged status. So therefore, being engaged through this promotion could pay off big time for you down the road. So what is the auto engaged incentive? It's on anyone that you recruit through the end of June. That started on May 23rd. So anybody that signed up as a new agent through your link all the way through the end of June, you are engaged for lifetime on their first 2 fundings. What does that mean for a lifetime? Well, there's no time limit on that. It's just 2 fundings is what you're auto engaged on. So if it could be a year from now or 5 years from now before they get 2 fundings, and whether you're actively engaged or not, you will get paid your enroller overrides as if you were engaged. So you refer prospects to your davidallencapital.com website. They become agents. They get clients by following the training and using the tools, and then you'll get paid regardless of when those clients get funded. Okay. So just want to point that out. I think this is really a big incentive for those of you that have been here more than 60 days and have kind of slowed down your recruiting because you've got this idea that, well, I'm not engaged to earn overrides when I want to recruit. Because you want to be building a team. You may or may not get paid right now on what they're doing, but just imagine you recruit a big player in this business that forever and ever could build a huge organization. If you're not recruiting, you might miss the opportunity to recruit that person and miss the opportunity on the potential for future earnings on them. As I always like to say, our compensation plan is unique in the direct selling space because a lot of companies, when you sponsor someone wherever you are in the comp plan, when that person gets started, a lot of other companies lock you in to what your position was and your status when that new organization got started, and you miss out on it. Well, not with DAC. We don't do it that way. What happens is when your organization is growing, if you're not engaged at the moment that it's all growing, at any moment you could come back and get actively engaged and start earning overrides on that team, whether you were active when they got started or not. And that's one of the beautiful things about our compensation plan. So as I said, we're going to touch on being engaged. So understand this, there's some confusion, and I mentioned this to David today on the call because I hear this question over and over. Plus we've had a couple of people on the corporate call saying, well, I'm not engaged anymore, so I'm afraid I won't get paid on my own clients. That is not the case. Okay. You always, always, always get paid on your own clients. There is no qualification necessary for you to bring a client to the table and get paid on that client, whatever it is they enroll with, whatever funding they get. You always get paid your personal commissions. The only time you have to be qualified by being engaged or amped up is for you to be eligible to earn overrides and matching bonuses on your team, right? Your personally enrolled agents or people that come in through your team, your personally enrolled agents. Or you can also earn additional percentage on your personal commissions if you are at least engaged or even amped up, which amped up makes you earn double commissions, right? But engaged, there's 3 ways to be qualified. First, you're in your first 60 days, you're auto engaged, or you sign someone up through the promotion that I just covered. You have a new or renewal funding in the last 60 days. So basically, engaged is like a rolling 60-day window of production. You either have a new client or a renewal in the past 60 days, and it keeps rolling along with you, or you don't. If you don't, you're not engaged unless you're part of a promotion. If you do have a client in that rolling 60 days that follows you along forever, then you're engaged and you get paid. The third way to get qualified is with 6 active customer finance clients. So want to do that. And I want to point you to where the tools are. I love that we have these tools available. And as a trainer, I think not just talking about it, but being able to show you where you can go find the resources on your own. You've all heard the saying of you can catch feed a man a fish and feed him for a day, or you can teach him how to fish and feed him for a lifetime. Well, I like teaching you how to fish so that you can feed yourself the information that you need. So the information that you are wanting to find is in the Agent Resource Center. How do you find the Agent Resource Center? Well, in your welcome email, there was a link that says David Allen Capital Agent Resource Center. But the simple way for you to always be able to find it without having to worry about finding that link is to just go to your davidallencapital.com website. It doesn't have to have your agent ID number, just davidallencapital.com. And when you get to that page, scroll down to the footer and there is a resources link. And under that, there's a link to the Agent Resource Center. It brings you to this page that you see on the slide here. At the top of that page are our 3 required trainings. Video 1, the Getting Started Right video, so you understand how the links work. Video 2 is our funding training, and video 3 is our compensation plan. So we're talking about the engaged portion of our comp plan. So if you click on the chart there under video, the big green 3, it's going to take you to this portion of the chart. And this is actually page 3 out of that several page document. In the top left-hand corner, I can't talk, it says you must be engaged to receive these bonuses. So this page in particular refers to you being engaged, and what you do get extra or what you don't get if you're not engaged. Okay. And then if you look on this second row, is showing you that when you get to DAC 1, you earn an extra 10% match on top of your 3 or 6%. When you get to DAC 2, you earn an extra 15% match on your own fundings plus on your team, and so on and so on. So this is what you earn or don't earn if you're not engaged, but this is the extra that you earn if you stay engaged. Okay, plus that enroller bonus. All right, now another thing I want to point out, David announced today that beginning on July the 1st, we're going to have some new qualifications to move through the DAC funding compensation plan. All right, so currently to get to DAC 4, you have to have 4 personal clients over here to the left. That explains the chart, total number of funded value of new personal clients. You have to have at least 4 personal clients, and you have to have a total of 40,000 in funded value to reach DAC 4 in the compensation plan. David referenced Eric Johnson today. Eric had 7 clients, I believe, before he had that total of 40,000 in funded value. Pam Warnock, who was listed on the recruiting board here, she had a total of 7 fundings before her total value was 40,000 in funding. Now, our funding value used to be much higher when we did not have our platform that goes all the way down to 3,000 with Giggle. Our average funding used to be 80,000, and then it came down to 40,000 the more clients we had, but it has dropped since we've had these lower value fundings. And with that, sometimes it takes more clients than it used to get that qualification. But this new requirement coming up in July is going to impact you getting to DAC 1 and DAC 2. The good news is, if you're already a DAC 1, a DAC 2, or DAC 4, wherever you are in the compensation plan at the end of June, you're grandfathered in there, okay? And you will not have to meet the new requirements. But if you've not hit DAC 1 or DAC 2 by the end of June, effective July the 1st, there's going to be some additional requirements to hit this DAC 1 and DAC 2 promotion to be eligible to earn these extra bonuses. Now, before I show you what those are, let me touch real quickly on this. As you're growing your team, there is a lot of Q&A going on with new people as they're starting to learn the funding process. Even going through the training, there's still questions that are going to be had, and that there's somebody supporting these people. With our comp plan, the way it has been, where all you had to do was get one client of any value, and that would promote you to DAC 1, you would quickly move through those first two ranks, and the person that was getting paid to help support you might get cut out of the equation, yet they're still having to do a whole lot of hand holding. So David realized that and has changed that requirement to get from DAC to DAC 1 and DAC 2. And here's what it's going to look like. This is a screenshot of his whiteboard that he drew on today. So effective 7/1, to get to DAC 1, you'll still have to have one new funded client. And this is lifetime. This is not every 30 days or not every 60 days. These are lifetime customers. You'll have to have one funded client minimum and a total funded value of at least $10,000 before you get qualified as a DAC 1. So if your first funding is a $4,000 deal, you have your one client that you need, but you're still $6,000 in funded value away from being qualified as a DAC 1. Get a second client for another $4,000. Now you've got two clients and a total of $8,000 funded value. You're still $2,000 shy of hitting that $10,000 cumulative total that you need to get to DAC 1. And then once, let's say the third client was $5,000, now you've exceeded the $10,000 and you've got three clients. So you'd have 8 and 5, 12,000. Or 13,000, I'm sorry, 13,000 total funded value. So that's moving you on towards DAC 2. Now, if you've got 13,000 in funded value to get to DAC 2, you need two clients, which my example that I just shared, you'd already have it because you had 3, right? And you now need a total of 20,000 cumulative funded value to get to DAC 2. I just gave an example showing your cumulative total with 3 clients is at 13,000. Then you're 7,000 away from hitting that DAC 2 qualification. And what does that do? As we go back here, you move from having a 10% extra match on commissions as DAC 1 to having a 15% extra match when you get to DAC 2. So those are covered. David covers it in depth in the team overrides video 2 of the 3 videos in the compensation plan under the big green 3 at the top of the Agent Resource Center. Okay, so that was the announcement there. Also, he announced some changes to Amped and Engaged, and this is really big deal. It's a real positive deal. Okay, we're going to be getting paid on our Google clients this coming week. We're going to get the report on Wednesday, the 15th, and he's going to pay it on 16th on Thursday. So we'll get to see what the results of our efforts have been this first month with Giggle. The way that they're calculating this is any funding of any value whatsoever. If it's a $500 Giggle client, if you had a new client get funded, that's going to count as engaged. Okay, so see here, he says any new client with any funded value, that counts as engaged, that rolling 60-day window for you to earn those extra bonuses. Or a renewal client. Say you've already got a few and somebody renews, as long as that renewal is 6,000 in funded value, then that'll qualify you as engaged. But the Amped Up is going to total up to 6,000 in funded value also, and that's going to be a new client. But Giggle, they're going to take all of the Giggle fundings combined and add it all together. So if, let's say you had 10 Giggle fundings over the past 30 days between the 15th of last month and the 15th of this month, because that's the pay cycle. If you had 10 fundings and you had a few in there for 500, you had one for 2,500, add it all up, however much those 10 fundings add up to, that gives you your total funded value, okay, in dollar amount. But then the Giggle funding is going to be 70% of funded value. So if they funded in $10,000 actual money that they borrowed, 70% of that is 7,000, which is the funded value for a compensation plan. That would be over 6,000, and that would qualify you as amped up for double commissions. Okay. I know I'm covering a lot on that. David's going to redo this training and record it and have it available once this goes live on July the 1st. But those of you that have been around a little while, or some of you that are getting started and understand compensation plans, you're following what I'm saying here. Okay. So here's the funded value and how that's going to work on that 6,000 funded value. So this first one is Bank Breezy. Those are the bigger in-house Bank Breezy clients. What qualifies as a new client to move through the ranks? Have one client with at least $6,000 in funding. It's paid at 100% funded value. The renewals are 70 to 100%. Those really aren't necessary. Those numbers, it's great for you to know, but it's not part of what the compensation is. Here's what's important on the comp plan, is what is going to move you to the next level, right? If it's a biddy client, the client has to be at 6,000 in value, okay, to count as a new client to help you move through the compensation plan. And biddy clients are 100% funded value. We don't get into the reduced value on that until we get to Giggle and we get to the line of credit, which both of those are reduced value because DAC doesn't make as much, so they can't pay them out at 100%. But for Giggle to count as a new client has to be a total cumulative value of 6,000 when you look at the funded value at 70%, and the line of credit is 30%. So you got to have 6,000 there as well. 30% funded value is actually a $20,000 draw from the client's end. And that's covered in the line of credit training there as well. Okay. But those of you that were on the leadership call, I wanted to pull this screen back up because David did it on the whiteboard. I did a screenshot of it. Now you can have one too. All right. All right. So next thing is talking about the pay card again. If you're brand new, you're getting a link in your welcome email to sign up for this. If you're not new, you're getting re-engaged, or you've been plugged in, but you just forgot to do this, you need to go to your davidallencapital.com/agent-resource-center link. The one that I just explained. All you need to do is add your agent ID number to the end and then hit enter. So the page loads. As long as your name is showing on the website, you're good to go. You want to click on the get pay card button there and go through. This link is specific to DAC, and it is set for you to enroll to receive your commissions through this link. And just think of us as an employer or the DAC organization, right? By you signing up through this link, when David sends over commission reports to Relevate, they'll know how to find you in the DAC organization, right? If you don't sign up through there, if you go over to the Relevate site, they're not going to be able to find you in DAC when you've earned commission. So do not go directly to their site. You must sign up through this link in the Agent Resource Center. All right. The next thing I want to announce is David did our first Tuesday training on funding, and it has now replaced the old video 2 in the Agent Resource Center. So if you were not on that live training on the first Tuesday of this month, then you need to go watch this video. In fact, if you were on the live training, you need to go watch this video because he covered so much information, from the need for our funding to the breakdown of the cost of our funding to how the app sequence works, the notification. All of it is in a nutshell in this training. So those of you that are reaching out to me and other people about, you know, how does this work? Why am I not getting notifications? Go watch this training and you'll have a much better understanding of how our funding process works. Okay. So go watch this. This is a required training. If you're new, if you've not watched it, it is a required training before you even start speaking to clients, so that you're setting the proper expectation, right? So let's get that one done. Notes taken and reviewed and reviewed and reviewed. Okay. The next thing that I want to point out, again, in the Agent Resource Center, these are your valuable tools so that you can be a pro when you're talking about our funding products to business owners, right? because business owners are sharp and they'll be able to tell whether you know what you're talking about or whether you're trying to BS your way through something. I want you to have the right information to set the proper expectation for the client, and to support that training video that I just pointed out under the big green 2. Directly below that, we have business fundings and line of credit section of the website. Number 1 is your business capital quick reference sheet. David talks about it in the training, but I wanted to point out where you find it. This PDF, just click on that link. It opens up a 2-page document that has all of our funding platforms. It shows you what the rates are and the payback timelines, etc. So use that as a quick reference sheet. Next, we have the line of credit quick reference sheet. So all of our funding products are listed on the 2 PDFs here on number 1 and number 2 under the Agent Resource Center. All right, so that is all I wanted to show you on slideshows, talking about the tools that we have available, pointing out where you need to go. There is some old information. I was just looking here, this, let's see, one of these videos here is old and we don't even need to be using it. The business funding features, pricing, and process, that video needs to be taken down. So I need to point that out to David so that he can edit that and have it linked to the same one. So anyhow, that's our training. I'm going to take us off of screen share and get us into, I'll turn on a light here, get us into face-to-face conversation mode. So I'd like to open up now. If you have any questions about what we just covered or anything else, I'm happy to take those questions right now. There is a raise hand function at the bottom of your screen. You can click on that. We'll see your hand raised and we will unmute you to answer any questions that you have. While I'm waiting for someone to raise their hand, Harlequin, have you seen any questions posted in the chat that we need to answer? Question?
Sorry, I was actually answering one. Yeah, Erica had a question about, if I'm new and I get 1 giggle funding, does that count as only 1 60-day engagement? And do you want me to read my answer to it?
Go ahead.
For those people that are going to be listening rather than seeing. And I said, yes, it will only count as 1 60-day engagement, whether you are new or old. Please note that the giggle clients that you get funded this month will not post until after July 15th. And as a new agent, you're automatically engaged for your first 60 days. If you get a new funding during that time period, it will start a new 60-day period from that point in time.
Yep, very good. Very good. All right, good question. I'm sure others were wondering the same thing. Any other questions that came up in the chat there?
Not that I saw. There were a couple of personal questions that I got, but that was it.
Okay. Well, we've got a quiet group. We got a lot of folks on tonight. Surely somebody has questions or a success story to share.
Actually, there's a new question while we're waiting for somebody to raise their hand.
Okay.
Somebody is asking, are there retractions?
Retractions meaning clawbacks, I'm assuming?
Clawbacks, yeah.
If you've been paid, can that money be taken back? Yes, it can. And there's limited timelines on that. The times that we're going to have a clawback is when a client gets funded and in their first 30 days of getting that funding, they either don't make any payments or they close their account and move on and are purposely defrauding the lender, right? So in that example, if you've been paid a commission because DAC got paid a commission, if that client defaults in their first 30 days, then the lender is going to take that money back from David Allen Capital, and DAC is going to take that money back from you, right? Because really we brought a client to the table that is not a legitimate client. So therefore you haven't earned a legitimate commission, right? So that's how that's going to work. But after 30 days, that window closes with our lenders, and that's in our agreements with DAC. And over time, I don't know if there have been any clawbacks at all through our traditional funding process on the bigger Bank Breezy fundings. But when we launched the Biddy Advanced product last February, it really increased the number of lower dollar fundings that we had, and it also increased the number of fraudulent applications and fundings that took place. So just know that that potential is there, but don't let that hold you back from getting clients, right? Because it's going to be few and far between that you run across that person that does defraud the company and does default on the loan. Therefore, you wouldn't keep the commission. It's very rare that that's going to happen, but that's a great and realistic question. So thanks for your question. Anything else in there, Harlequin?
Yeah, we just got another new one. Is the best way to get the word out to business owners about business capital those drop cards?
It is one of the best ways, yes. In fact, David talks about Wade Cordell, who is the one of the principals with Bank Breezy. He's been heading up the funding team for several years. Wade has had the 3 largest fundings and largest total funded amount of revenue fundings with DAC, because he's a DAC agent as well. And all 3 of those clients came through him handing out drop cards and talking to people in his warm market. And that's what the drop card is really intended for, to use as a leave behind when you have a conversation with someone about what you do. So those 3 fundings have been 150, 350, and I don't remember the last one, Harlequin, but he's done a lot of big fundings because of those. So is it the best way? It may be the best way for me. It may be the best way for Wade. It may be the best way for Harlequin, but it may not be the best way for you. It depends on how good you are when you have that card in hand, and how good you are at giving your little elevator pitch when you hand it off to a business owner, and how rehearsed you are in just walking in the door and saying, hey, I just want to introduce myself, right? And going through the training that David covers on how to leave those cards behind. Would it be okay if I left this information with you if the need ever arises, or if and when the need ever arises that you need some quick working capital, right? So I don't think there's one best way for everybody. We teach 6 or 7 different methods of getting clients. All of them work, but I like to say, out of all the things that we teach, take what feels or resonates with you. Maybe you have experience doing one of those methods that we teach. And if you already have experience doing that and you have good experience with it, then take that and build on it. If you don't have experience with any of it, warm market is the fastest way to grow. And then doing the drop cards is probably the next fastest way, because you're meeting and greeting local business owners. I will say this, when you're meeting those local business owners, you're going to have much larger funding amounts going through. When you're doing online stuff and ads, you're typically going to run into a lot of smaller dollar fundings that come through. So you make more money on the bigger fundings because the commission is a percentage of the funded value. So great question. Thank you for that. All right. Anybody else there, Harlequin?
Well, Erica has her hand raised.
Okay. Let's go to Erica then. Great. I see multiple.
Oh, how are you?
Now. Hey, Erica, how are you tonight?
I'm well. So I read over the answer that I was given, and I just want to make sure I understand, because that last part where it says if it's within that time period, are you speaking on? I'm new, so my question was, new agents get a 60-day automatic engagement, but if I were to get a client who is funded, the question was, does that consider it 2 engagement periods or just one 60-day? And then she mentioned an after July 15th. So can you clarify
Sure.
what
So
that last part was about?
yeah, so first, your 60 days that you're it's kind of it's a grace period for you, really. When you're brand new, you have a 60-day grace period to get your first client to be considered engaged. If you get a
Right.
client 3 weeks into that, right? Instead of your 60-day window stopping on your anniversary date, your 60-day anniversary, it would be 60 days from that point that you got the client. So you just added an extra 3 weeks to your engaged period. I say 3 weeks because I'm saying you got your client 3 weeks into it. So instead of
Okay,
ending
that's what I was,
60
yeah,
days, yeah, instead of ending on
that's
that
what I was
original
asking. So
60
it does,
days, you just extended it an extra 3 weeks beyond where you were going to get cut off, if that makes sense.
okay, right. Well, yeah, that's what I was asking. So it does extend
Oh,
it
yeah.
does extend
Yeah, whatever
the
the
engagement.
funded
Okay,
date is, that extends that date 60 days into
gotcha.
the future. Mhm.
That cleared it up. Thank you so much.
You got it. Thanks for
All
the
right.
question. All right, and the next question is from, I have Janelle. I'm going to ask you to unmute, Janelle. How are you doing tonight?
I'm wonderful. I just had a quick question.
Janelle, are you there? Can you unmute?
Yes, I'm unmuted. You hear me?
There you are. Yes.
Okay, I'm sorry. I didn't have my microphone on my headset down.
No worries.
The question I had was, in trying to target companies, and I'm in a smaller town, what kind of companies would you say would be over the 15K or, over 20K monthly revenue from your expertise, I would say?
Well, our largest industry in general is the construction space. In fact, David just said he was answering Eric Brooks' question about CBD companies. And David said, if I were in the field right now, I would be targeting construction businesses. So just think about any business that is doing high daily sales. Someone in the restaurant business, if they're a busy restaurant, they're doing a considerable amount of sales. If they're in a retail business that's high traffic, that would be a considerable sales volume there. But your construction, where you've got HVAC, roofing, flooring companies, anybody that has higher ticket items, those are going to be those higher dollar sales opportunities, right? Or they're going to have higher revenue. So I would stick in a niche, and goes back to the training that we received from our customer finance partner, Mark Beauchamp. He's been in that space for years. And when he was training us on the customer finance side, and I'm going to tie this to the funding, Janelle, when he was training on that, he has had sales agents in the field for years. And he said that his most successful agents are the ones that picked a niche that either they had familiarity with, or they learned that niche, the ins and outs of it. They learned the language that would be specific to that niche. And they really became an expert on a single niche, and they marketed to that particular industry and had more success than the agents that just kind of were doing a shotgun approach of whoever happened to be around. Okay. So I would encourage you to do the same with our funding, right? David referenced again that, he would be the funding king for all of the roofing companies around. Roofing is a high dollar ticket, which gives you multiple opportunities. They would probably qualify for line of credit and working capital, and or they
Customer
typically
finance.
can't get both. Yeah, but the customer finance too. So when you're dealing with these bigger companies, sit back and look at it and think about not only their revenue to be able to get higher funding amount, but that bigger picture, like I just explained, that they would qualify for the customer financing. They probably have a lot of employees that, as you build a relationship with them, they might be interested in having health care as well. So I like to look at a client on the big picture. Having been a business owner myself, I'm always thinking of what do they need that we have? I'm not trying to overload them with what we have. I just ask questions. And as I'm asking questions, taking them down that path of getting them to check the box, yes or no, as to whether they might need some of the services that we offer that could help them reduce their cost or help them be more attractive to hiring and keeping quality employees, such as our healthcare product there. I hope that helps.
Thank you. It does very much so.
All right, awesome. Thanks for the question. Let's see if we have any other hands up. Erica, is your hand up from before, or did you have another
Oh,
question?
yes, let me take it down. Let me take
Yeah,
it down.
no worries. No worries. We got a couple of people getting into the room here. Get that admitted. All right, awesome. Any new information in the chat there, Harlequin? Are you in the middle of
Yes.
typing a response?
No, there were a few. I've answered some of them, but let's see. Shania was asking, is there any one-on-one mentoring?
There can be. It really depends on who your enroller is, right? Who did you sign up with? That would be your first point to turn to, because you may be enrolled with someone that is very experienced in the business. If your enroller is new, then they're working with someone in the organization that is more experienced, right? I know I support people that are 8, 9, 10, 11, a dozen levels deep in my organization, because either there has not been contact with the people that sponsored them and they're not communicating with them, or they don't want to work with people. They just want to sponsor people. And I work with everybody, but my time is limited. So I have to pick and choose how much time I can spend with individuals. So that's why one of the reasons that I do this Zoom each week, it gives me the opportunity to talk to all of you on a one-on-one basis, but be able to answer questions that probably more than one of you have at a time. So I would say, let's look to see who your enroller is and figure out whose team you're on, whose leadership team you're on. And then we can see where you need to go to get some more one-on-one. But before, even if I'm working with someone that I personally enrolled, before I'm willing to do those one-on-one sessions, they got to go through the training. Got to watch the full business presentation on the partner page, and then watch videos 1, 2, 3 in the Agent Resource Center. I also ask people to create their warm market list, going through my Fast Start orientation, where I take you through how to really do that memory jogger and remember who it is that you know, and those contacts that could lead you to someone that would be a great client, a great referral partner, or potentially a great agent. So those are some of the things that you want to consider. But yeah, reach out. If you don't know who that person is, reach out to me and I'll help put the pieces of the puzzle together to tie you back to someone that can work with you directly.
Yeah, Ellen, I have her email address and I'll give that to you afterwards.
Okay, sure.
Okay, and then we have somebody, Jorge Diaz. He's so new that he's not sure what Giggle is. So I told him to go through training number 2 goes over that. And you just went over that with the Agent Resource Center.
Mm-hmm.
And then Aaron was asking any updates on the new drop cards.
We don't have a timeline on that. David had mentioned that we were probably a couple weeks out. They may be close to production, and the question didn't come up today. He was focused on making those announcements.
He did discuss it today.
Oh, he did? I didn't hear
Yeah,
that.
I know you were you had mentioned to me earlier that you were with somebody at the time, but yeah, he said that because he gave a timeline of different things that are coming out, and I remember that the new drop cards, they're projecting not this Friday, but next Friday they should be out.
Okay, great. Yeah, I had at the beginning of today's video, he said there are 3 things, and I came in on number 2, which was talking about Relevate. All Relevate accounts must be in the US. So great, new drop cards So we're looking around July, start of July for that, and these new compensation enhancements at the same time.
Yeah.
All right. Good,
Okay.
good.
And then Jean was asking about beauty salons. And I know a lot of those do get funded.
Sure.
So that's a good.
Yeah. Any business that does retail sales, meaning that they're doing daily, multiple transactions on a daily basis and multiple deposits going into their bank account. The more deposits going into the bank account, the more favorable they appear in the eyes of the lender, because that lender sees money coming in. It's easy for the lender to take the money out to get paid back. If you've got a business that only makes the required 4 minimum deposits a month, then they're higher risk, because if they miss deposits for 1 week, then that could be 25% of their sales for the month. So we want to see those regular deposits coming in, because that shows stability with their cash flow. So yeah, any retail, skincare, salons, trucking industry, see a lot in the trucking industry, although they are higher risk. But construction is really the #1 industry out there. We also do a lot with medical offices and dental offices. We do a lot of funding there. And that, again, back to when I was talking with Janelle about having higher ticket items, those are great potential client for customer finance. So again, you can have one niche you focus on that could bring a client to you that could utilize multiple services that we offer. We've got a great customer finance product that is very competitive in the medical healthcare space. And those businesses are typically going to qualify for the line of credit offering, which in the long run, that's going to be a better payback for that business owner, but it's also going to be something that you get paid over and over and over again. Harlequin, you've got a client that has a line of credit. How many times have you been paid a commission off of that one client because of their drawdowns?
Yeah, I have a client that it's a physical therapy office. They've had that line of credit for a little over 2 months now, and they've already taken out money 5 different times. So I've gotten paid 5 times on that one client. But just a tip on that one, the reason why they had to get the line of credit is because the insurance companies, just like everybody else, they're shorthanded, they're backed up, and their insurance accounts receivable, where they've done the work, paid the employees, paid the rent, paid the lights, their accounts receivable, they had $189,000 worth of accounts receivable, and they were only receiving $30,000 to $40,000 a month. So wow, they were way behind on that. So that's a really good market to go after, because doctors' offices, they've been so busy and the insurance companies just can't keep up.
Excellent. Good tip there. So I was going to ask you how many times you got paid on that, and you already said it. You got paid 5 times when they took 5 draws. Good stuff. All right. Any other questions?
Yeah, we have one last one. Sherry was asking, do we have access to the video David did earlier today? And on that one, he was having an issue connecting it to YouTube to live stream it. So he's going to have to upload that once the recording was processed. So it should be up either later tonight or tomorrow.
Yeah, hopefully he'll get it posted. That's why I went into a little bit more detail tonight on what he covered today than I usually do, to give you that visual, because I wasn't sure how long it's going to be before we actually see that video out there. So good stuff. I'm super excited about the new enhancement to DAC 1 and DAC 2. I think that really creates stability for those of you that are building a team. You're going to be able to earn overrides on your team at much longer than you would under the compensation plan as it is right now. So I know when David first rolled out the comp plan that we know today, I was looking at it on my commissions And I was already at DAC 4, and there was no revenue requirement in that original DAC 4. It was just get 4 clients. And I talked with David and I said, wow, there are people that are getting to my same level that are still asking me a dozen questions every time they have a funded client. And that was something that he just wasn't seeing. So having that feedback from the field, from me personally, had him take a longer look at that and recalculate it. And now I know as he pays out commissions every single week, he's always looking to see who's getting the commissions and how long they've been in the business to get those commissions. So he's trying to create a fair compensation plan that pays the person that's doing the work and getting the client, bringing them to the table. But he also wants to create a really fair compensation plan for those who are building and helping build the company. And the only way you do that is create that longer term override on helping that newbie that gets started into where they're not out here needing so much hand holding, but they're out and in becoming independent of you and being able to do their fundings and also being able to build their own team and being independent of you. So that's our goal with everyone. All right, I don't see anybody else's hands raised. Harlequin, did I miss anything that you wanted to share on our Zoom before we wrap up tonight?
No, I think the biggest thing is, especially if you're new or even if you've been around for a while, if you have not seen that new number 2 video that David did Tuesday night on the business funding, there's so many new things. Watch it, take notes, maybe watch it again if you have to. And I think that's going to be the biggest thing that's going to help you as far as talking to clients when you're out in the field, is knowing what you have to do, as well as printing out those quick reference sheets and having those handy. I think those are the 2 things that will help you the most if you're brand new.
Absolutely. And for those of you that may have missed when we were going through the slide, Harlequin referenced the video from the training that David did Tuesday a week ago. That is now the video that is under the big green 2 at the top of the Agent Resource Center. So go back and rewatch that. If you watched the number 2 video prior to a week ago, it was an old video that's over a year old. He was talking about bankbreezy.com/your ID number. That's all obsolete information. So if that's the training that you saw as part of your new agent training, you need to go back, erase that from your mind, and start fresh with video number 2 under the big green 2 at the top of the Agent Resource Center. Okay, well, I don't have any other hands raised, no other questions. We're going to wrap up. As always, I appreciate your attendance tonight. I appreciate you making a commitment to growing your business. This is an independent business. And Harlequin, let's don't forget to get that image that we talked about, because I want to add that as part of our regular conversation in
I
our
looked
training.
for it and I couldn't find it.
Oh, bummer. Well, you have to do a Google search for it and find it again, because that was a great image talking about how long it took for some of these billion-dollar companies to grow and where they started, what they originally started with, whether it was, as I always reference, Domino's Pizza, where they only had a hand-tossed pizza and Coca-Cola was the only product that they sold for years and years. McDonald's had hamburger and fries. Amazon started out as a bookseller, right? So businesses evolve over time. They add additional services, they add additional products, and they take what's working and grow and develop from there. And what has become obsolete or is not working so well, they shelf that and move on to what does work. And that's just part of growing a business. We're growing a company here, and we're all growing our own independent businesses inside of DAC. So when things change and when we're moving in a positive direction, just accept that change is getting us closer to the goal that David has for us, which is to become the Quicken Mortgage of the business funding space and becoming a billion-dollar giant in the industry and creating an opportunity for many of us to become wealthy and leave a legacy for our friends or family or whoever we wish to leave that behind, but creating something that's lasting for years and years to come. You're part of something really special here, and I hope that you really grasp that and understand as we're taking on the new phase of DAC that is right around the corner for us, with the new services that are coming on board and the opportunity that you have at hand. So let's go get it done. Let's be recruiting, putting some big numbers on the board. I look forward to seeing your name on the leaderboard next week. And I look forward to seeing your name on the commission report, override report that I get to see every week, so I can see who's earned commissions for fundings and so on. So until the next Zoom on Friday, our leadership Zoom on, our agent update Zoom on Friday at 11:30 a.m. Eastern time. We'll see you then. All right. Have a great night, everybody. Take care. Good night.
Bye.